book. We're gonna need more wine by Gabrielle Union, New York Times bestseller. And today I've done part 1 already, so this is chapter 2, sex miseducation. In the 5th grade, the girls were all ushered into the school multi-purpose room, where it was explained to us that we could get pregnant at any moment. Well, at least our period would strike any minute, which meant we could hypothetically conceive a child. The problem is, Miss Brackett forgot to include the part about how we could get pregnant. She just left it at, it could just happen. No one was brave enough to ask questions, and if you don't know how you get pregnant, just that it might happen at any moment, it's a little scary. I would lie awake at night in my room, clutching in my bed in a bag, twin sheets to my chin, and wondering what could happen to impregnate me. If you were raised Catholic like I was, you already know from Sunday school that nothing really has to happen. You could go to sleep and wake up carrying baby Jesus. I've seen countless paintings of the Annunciation, where Mary accepts the news that she is pregnant. But my favorite is Dante Gabriel Rossetti's at the Tate Britain in London. Mary is in bed, giving the angel Gabriel a blurry-eyed look of, "Are you fucking kidding me right now?" That's how we felt. Are you kidding me with this? At any moment she could become a mom stuff. We lived in a partially Catholic and Mormon town, so our moms definitely weren't chanting among themselves about periods. When any of my friends' mom talked to them, it was to simply hand them some pads. I certainly wasn't going to talk to my older sister about it, and because I could barely decode Tampax commercials, I looked for information in books. Naturally, my friends and I turned to, "Are you there, God? It's me, Margaret." Judy Blume's classic 1917 menstruation how-to, disguised as a pre-adolescent narrative. Amongst us 10 and 11-year-olds, the book became required reading, and we fretted out dogged copies from the local library, big sisters, and a few progressive mothers. Some girls like me just skipped to the blood pages. They'd hand me a copy and I'd fan through the pages to the good parts. Then I'd pass the wisdom on to the next girl. "Here," I said, pointing. "Then here." We needed answers because it was all so scary. The idea of bleeding randomly and accepting it as natural seemed completely unnatural. After all, when you skinned your knee, you ran for a band-aid. Where's the Bactine? I have to cover this. But when it came to our periods, we were supposed to be celebratory. Like our moms would suddenly initiate us into their blood cult. That's a question, I read it badly. Like our moms would certainly initiate us into their blood cult. This was a horror movie set in the leafy surroundings of Pleasanton Middle School. It came for Melody first in 5th grade during a homeroom. She bled right through her pants. She looked down in shock. The blood slowly blossomed in the crotch and back of her pants. And Lucas, the boy who'd called me nigger in the second grade, saw it first and reliably pounced. "Melody is having her period," he yelled out, disgusted and delighted. "Let's jump her." He had a few of his lacquery hooted with laughter, while the rest of us looked on in horror and panic. Now an initiate into the blood cult of adult women, Melody, of course, could get pregnant at any moment. Where was the teacher? Don't ask. Faculty lounge, smoke break. After a few excruciating moments, Melody unfroze and ran screaming. No one followed her. That included me. I felt ashamed. I was her friend, but for much of the school year, it was like being friends with a leper. Nobody else got her period for the longest time, but soon enough, all the girls in 5th grade became familiar with Melody's month-to-month schedule. And when she was absent, we spoke gravely of her condition, dramatically shushing each other when a boy came within hearing range. By 7th grade, Melody was no longer alone in her period drama, as all of us were getting picked off like flies. One of our friends would stay home from school or race to the nurse's office, and then we would know it came for her. No one I knew was excited about it. You looked forward to it in the way you looked forward to food poisoning. I knew that any moment it would be my turn to stand up and everyone would point in my direction. I remember we all wore dark colors in case it happened. I began carrying my jean jacket with me at all times. Ready for the big announcement, I pinned concert buttons all over it of the top 40 stuff I loved. Stray Cats, Def Leppard, New Edition, Billy Joel, and tied it around my waist to cancel the inevitable evidence when the time came. We each asked each other so many questions because unless we'd been struck, none of us had answers. Like, what happens? You put this pad on and then what? You're just bleeding and sitting in it? I finally became a woman in a bathroom stall at McKay's halfway through 7th grade. I was at Stonebridge Mall with a few friends. I felt a little dampness down there, started silently panicking and screaming, then whispered to my friends, "Oh my God, I think it's happening." We speed walked to the restroom, and my friend Becky, always prepared, handed me a pad. I went into the stall, a girl, and came out an adult. When I got home, I tried to pretend as if nothing had happened. I balled up my bloody underwear and jeans and stuffed them deep in the closet of the bathroom. I shared with my older sister Kelly. I felt cramped and sore, but I just didn't want to have the mortifying talk with anyone. I didn't know why I didn't throw the clothes away. I guess it felt wasteful. Kid logic is just dumb. Weeks later, my mom found them while cleaning the house. "I found she posed, "soiled underwear." To this day, the word soiled still makes me cringe. She handed me some pads, offering no instructions, no sitting on the couch and patting the cushion next to her, and that was that. But I kept worrying about my next period, and I was terrified of being humiliated at school. Every month was a guessing game. When will it happen? Will everyone find out? Will guys try to jump me and make me pregnant? At first, I didn't know how to use the pad, and for a full year, I continually had accidents because my pads were reading high. My pads were riding high. Not only did I not know how pads worked, I didn't understand how my vagina worked either. And that's because, dear reader, I thought my clitoris was my vagina. I started masturbating early at age 5 or 6, so I knew where the fun was. I knew where my clitoris was. My vagina, not so much. I'd lived my life thinking, of course sex is painful because it's where you pee from. And of course childbirth is painful because you pee out your baby. Even though I'd seen a number of anatomy diagrams, I knew where I masturbated, so I assumed that was my vagina. I only discovered my vagina in the 8th grade after a year of accidents. My girlfriend Danielle, Big D, and I were swimming at a local sports complex called AVAC, short for Amador Valley Athletic Club. And of course, I got my period. In the water, I noticed a wispy trail of blood. It was coming from me, and it was especially mortifying because AVAC was as fancy as a country club, with the best of everything. I frantically climbed out of the pool with Big D following and locked myself in a bathroom. She talked to me through the door. "Nick, it's okay," Big D said, concern in her voice but cool as ever. She had a bookie dad and was never prudish like most of the other girls I knew. "Nick, it's today," Big D said, concern in her voice but cool as ever. Oh fuck, I just read that line. "I have to go home," I said frantically. "Oh, just put in a tampon," said Big D. "I'm a whore," I shrugged. "We just assumed tampons made you break your hymen, so if you use them instead of pads, you were no longer a virgin, and at that stage, if you weren't a virgin in Pleasanton, you were considered a whore." "What?" said Big D. The record scratched. "I've never used one," I whispered. "Open the door," she said, and I did, but just a crack. She passed me a plastic-wrapped cylinder, and I took it from her gratefully. "Now lay on the floor," I heard her voice say, coaching me through it. "Put your knees up and just slowly put it in." I did as commanded, laying out my plush AVAC towel and trying to put the tampon in what I thought was my vagina. "It's too big," I said. "What?" "It's too big. Let me in." I unlocked the door. She came in like a straight man in a screwball comedy. "Where are you trying to put it?" she asked. "I was trying to put a tampon in my urethra." That's not your vagina," Big D explained slowly. I let that sit for a bit. "What?" I said, as casual as I possibly could. "Now I see that's not your vagina, because a great title for this little one-act play, but then I didn't see the humor." So there we were on the floor of a bathroom at AVAC, and Big D just slid that tampon right on up so fast I didn't think quickly enough to be freaked out. And I was all and I was all, "Where are you going?" As if she was doing Jacques Cousteau deep dive, and she's going down, and I was like, "There's something more down there." What an amazing discovery! Finding my vagina was a moment of interesting. Did not know that Big D was exactly the friend I needed to get me through the moment as quickly as possible. We never once spoke of it until we were adults, not out of shame, but for a sense of what happens in an AVAC bathroom stays in an AVAC bathroom. Only recently, when I brought it up to her, did it seem even remotely nice. But how was I supposed to know where my vagina was? From a young age, most girls are not given the most basic information about their bodies, and we grow into smart women who often don't go to doctors on a regular basis because we are too busy putting others in our lives first, and don't share personal medical information with each other either. People talk about our bodies solely as reproductive systems, and we remain just as clueless as the Virgin Mary's learning she was but a vessel for something greater. Thank God for Judy Bloom, because at least she armed me with the basic facts of menstruation. Nowadays, girls can Wikipedia everything, or more likely study corn clips online. But back then, all we had was Judy Bloom. She also gifted us with Forever. We all knew and loved Forever because it had the sex scene, and outside of corn, which was damn hard to procure in those pre-internet days, Forever was the only depiction of sex we had ever seen. High school senior Catherine meets fellow student Michael, who nicknames his penis Ralph, and teaches her how to rub one out before they go all the way. In his sister's bedroom, we were smart enough to know that Forever, not the cheesy VHS corn tapes that my trusty friend Becky had discovered in her parents' room, taught us the more accurate portrait of how sex would unfold in our own lives. Thank you, Judy. Forever gave us the truth. It was about wanting to have sex, preparing to have sex, having sex, and what happens afterward. Judy Bloom was our tutor. During our freshman year, my friend Julie had sex at a house party with a boy she liked. They had planned to do it, but both were too fearful to go buy condoms. He told her that he had a plan, so just before the big deed, he pulled out a plastic baggie. You read that right, a Ziploc. A month or so later, a bunch of us were hanging out on one of the school lawns. None of us wanted to just go home and be bored, so we decided to be bored together. We were talking about how we couldn't wait for summer when Julie started crying. She leaned forward into the circle. "I think I'm pregnant," she whispered. We sort of fell into her, muffling her cries. I asked her twice if she was sure. It was such a stupid question, but I didn't want what she was saying to be true. My friend Barbara instead snapped into action. She was always very advanced and finger-sharping efficient with her asymmetrical bob and mod clothes. "Okay, How much money do you have? She said. Julie shrugged. Okay, she said, looking at us all. How much money do we have? Barbara said we needed about $350. That's what she decided was the going rate for an abortion. Over the next couple of days, like some very special magic school bus episode, we all, a bunch of 14 and 15-year-olds, went to our parents to make a bunch of fake requests for money to buy new uniforms or to go on non-existent field trips in a couple of days. We got $350. The next hurdle was scheduling the abortion, which the confines of the school day within the confines of the school day. To accomplish this, the lot of us cut class to go to the Planned Parenthood in Pleasanton. There was a lone protester outside. She wasn't crazy as far as protesters go, but it was strangely terrifying. She had a sign and was just there, staring at a bunch of teenagers who didn't want anyone to see us. Imagine 5 terrified 14 and 15-year-old girls sitting in a waiting room, hugging our backpacks. There was a basket of condoms on a little side table by the door. As we waited for Julie, I was eyeing those condoms and sitting in a Planned Parenthood waiting room for my friend's abortion to be over. I was still afraid of what the people working there would think if they saw me taking a condom. Julie came out and we all hugged her. Fine, I said. I'll hold them, but come to me, okay? That's how it went. I became the condom dispensary, bringing them to school and to parties whenever I got the heads up. Adults weren't looking out for us. They assumed that we knew we could get pregnant and wouldn't risk it by actually having sex. But even when you know better, it doesn't mean you're going to do better. That's a lie parents tell themselves so they don't have to admit their kids having sex. And they do. They will either live with fear and baggies and abortions, or live with knowledge and condoms. My dad found my stash, of course, and flipped out. They're for my friends, I screamed. That didn't help. I used the "what were you doing snooping in my room" tactic, which actually worked for once. I think he was terrified. These days, kids are mostly just honest with adults, which is just weird. I recently met a young woman in a teen empowerment seminar. I told him I wanted to suck his dick, so I sucked his dick. She said, "It's no big deal." Yeah, no. Now, when I try to talk to our boys or I talk to young girls, here's what I say. Are you ready to own your sexuality in a way that you can experience pleasure as well as give it, and be truly grown up about it? But what kids are doing now, the way they process it and act on it is so different. They will probably read forever and it will be so pedestrian to them. What kind of baby book bullshit is this? But I see their raw honesty and I raise them. If you're such good friends that you give him a blowjob, I asked that one girl, "Did he eat your pussy?" "No," she said, looking at her friends. "Well, make sure he does that next time, okay? And then have him eat your ass," I said, "and see where that goes." Whoa. It's a very unequal friendship, and I wouldn't want that kind of friendship. If you're gonna do it, then shit, really do it. I want people to make informed, joyful choices about sex because I love sex. In the hideaway of my 20s and 30s, I loved the variety. Now that I'm married, I am in a monogamous relationship, but I used to think monogamy was for suckers who didn't have options. Some choose monogamy, I would say, but most people have it foisted upon them. I just didn't see the point back then. I did, however, see the point in publicly declaring oneself to be in a monogamous relationship. It was never lost on me that society thinks a woman should be allotted one dick to use and she should be happy with it for the rest of her life. But I always saw sex as something to be enjoyed repeatedly with as many different partners as possible. In interviews, I am often asked what sage advice I have to offer young women. I admit the advice I give in Red Book is different than what I tell people over drinks. There is a gorgeous, perfect, talented young actress who I talked to at a party a few weeks ago. Look, you can't take your pussy with you, I said. Use it. Enjoy it. Fuck. Until you run out of dicks. Travel to other countries and have sex. Explore the full range of everything and feel zero shame. Don't let society narrow scope about what they think you should do with your vagina. Determine what you do with your vagina. As I talked, the look on her face was the slow clap moment in movies. There was the beginning of the realization that I was really saying this. Then the rapturous joy of a huge smile as she knew I meant every word. Enough with teaching people to pretend that sex is only for procreation and only in the missionary position and only upon taking the marital oath. If you're having consensual sex with another adult, enjoy it. So repeat after me. I resolve to embrace my sexuality and my freedom. So repeat after me. I resolve to embrace my sexuality and my freedom to do with my body parts as I see fit. And I will learn about my body so I can take care of it and get the pleasure I deserve. I will share the information with anyone and everyone and not police the usage of any vagina but my own. So help me, Judy Bloom. So that was chapter 2. Chapter 2 was a bit shorter than chapter 3. Next time we're gonna do chapter 3 because I don't wanna overwhelm you. So each chapter I gave a chapter alive. A chapter alive. That sounds so nice. Okay, so thanks for joining my book reading session. We're reading Gabrielle Union. We're gonna need more wine. And right now I've read chapter 1. It's already on my YouTube channel at Maureen Poker. And now I just did chapter 2, which I'm gonna download and post it same place at Maureen Poker. And then we're gonna do chapter 3 next time. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Also follow me on all my social media platforms at Poker on here, TikTok at Maureen Poker or Poker, just Poker. On Insta and YouTube I have a vlogging channel And yeah, a normal day channel at Nipoker, Nipoker. But for my book reading and my acting, that is my monologues and other short films, you can find them at Maureen Poker on YouTube. Bye guys, I hope you liked the session. Bye. Name of the book for Edwin is We're Gonna Need More Wine.